In Rotterdam mocht gisteren dan een gorilla loslopen. In Amsterdam kom je deze dagen olifanten tegen. Tijgers, nijlpaarden, puma's, bavianen. Allemaal te zien op de Westermarkt. En dan niet ontsnapt uit de dierentuin, maar vastgelegd op het fotopapier van de Zuid-Afrikaanse natuurfotograaf Steve Bloom. Hij wil de moderne stadsmens weer in contact brengen met die andere, kostbare wereld waar het leven wild is.
I lived in the city. I lived in central London. Every day I travelled on the underground to work and back, and I was in a world very different from the world of wildlife. And it struck me that there's a world beyond the place where the pavements stop. You know, we don't. We spend our lives in a concrete world, and there was this world beyond the concrete world which I became very excited about, and I felt compelled to go out and to document and to see and try and discover something of that world.
Steve Bloom. Ooit werkte hij in de grafische industrie en fotografeerde alleen abstracte objecten. Een vakantie in zijn geboorteland Zuid-Afrika veranderde zijn leven. Nu behoort hij tot de wereldtop van natuurfotografen. Zijn tentoonstelling Spirit of the Wild is voor iedereen toegankelijk. Buiten, op de Westermarkt in Amsterdam.
I went on a safari in 1993 and I took a photograph of a running cheetah, and I was quite moved and overcome by the power of the image. Something very interesting happened. After about 2 years, I decided to do it full time. And for those first 2 years, I felt that there was plenty of time to go out and photograph wildlife. I wasn't aware of the rate of change that was going on. I photographed orangutans in Borneo. And 2 weeks after I left, the area had been completely devastated by illegal loggers who had burnt down vast areas of the forest, and a large number of the orangutans that I photographed had been killed. And that was a wake-up call. That made me realize that there's not all the time in the world, and I really had to move quickly. I suppose if I can single it down to one picture in particular, I did a picture of a chimpanzee with his hand out in the rain, and it's in the exhibition at Westermarkt, and he's watching the raindrops bounce off his hand. And when you look at that picture, you think scientifically they're more than 98% genetically the same as us, you begin to realize that animals are not just things, they feel. And I mean, everybody knows this, but it's a way of actually knowing that from deep down inside. That's what I'm trying to do with the photography, and it was that picture which, for me, I suppose changed my whole approach. And I wasn't just photographing something abstract, something distant. The photography became part of what I felt I had to do. My approach with my photography is not a scientific approach. It's very much an emotional approach. You know, I look for something in the glint in the eye of an animal. I mean, one example is a tiger I photographed in Bandhavgarh in India. And it took a long time to find this tiger. When I found this tiger, it was actually on the back of an elephant at the time, and the tiger looked up at me, and I tried to capture something of the spirit of that tiger, something in the eye of the tiger. And it's when you see that as a giant print in the exhibition, you know, I'm hoping that will somehow connect with people, and that they'll begin to understand what's happening and why it's important. I draw an analogy between photography and music. You know, and for me, the eye of the tiger is a kind of visual music. It's touching, it moves you, and I think it's important for me to capture that and to portray it and to somehow try and get that across to people.
Mensen weer in contact brengen met de schoonheid van de natuur. Dat is waar het Steve Bloom om is te doen. Hij schreef 15 boeken, maakte kalenders en posters en hij won verschillende prijzen met zijn werk. Collega-fotografen omschrijven hem als de belangrijkste natuurfotograaf die werkt op de grens van wat mogelijk is.
This is what it's all about. It's not about sitting there being seasick and for 16 days waiting and worrying. It's about the final result. And what you don't realize here, I mean, this is something that's frozen in time, but in fact, it was the whole sequence from the time the water was calm till the time the water was calm again was just over half a second. So, you know, this is the beauty of photography. You take this tiny slice, you freeze time for this tiny, tiny little piece of time, and it's up there, suspended forever. And that's fun.
What is it you have with elephants?
I've always liked elephants. Even as a small kid, I wanted to photograph them every possible way I could, from helicopters, from microlights, from underneath them, swimming underneath them in the Andaman Sea off the coast of Thailand. And the more I got into it, the more I was drawn towards it. And the thing about elephants is that they have family structures which are very similar to our own. And just like people, they have very different temperaments. And that's, again, one of the things I'm trying to get across in Spirit of the Wild, is that they're not all the same. You know, different animals have different moods and behaviours. And I certainly found while working with elephants is that some can be pretty bad-tempered and you can't go near them, and others are quite friendly, just like people.
The picture where you're swimming beneath the elephant, how did you make this picture?
It took a lot of time to get it right, because I first built up a bit of a friendship with this elephant and made sure he was comfortable with me, because he had these huge tusks and I had to swim very, very close to him, because to photograph underwater you need an extreme wide-angle lens. Water's dense, so you need to physically be very close to your subject. And so, you know, what I was doing was quite dangerous, going, the elephant swims very fast, his legs are kicking like mad, and there are these huge tusks, and I had to swim just a few centimetres away from him. I'm hoping that people will think twice after seeing or think again after seeing the exhibition about seeing animals as inanimate objects or things, you know, and will somehow recognise that we're all living creatures, we all feel pain, and there has to be this kind of universal respect for life.
De fototentoonstelling is nog te bezichtigen tot 28 juli op de Amsterdamse Westermarkt.